The most missed question on last year's quiz right here about Jim from The Office, okay? Now, he's driving. I've got a table, which is a representation of a function. I need to get a graph next. It's asking for a graph of this. Well, we'll see if it's a function, I guess. Now, you might notice our graph doesn't have a very good units to graph these numbers, right? So on my x, it needs to go to 10. So I'm going to change my x-axis to go by 2s. I missed 6. Okay, and then on my y, I needed to go to 500. So I'm going to change my y-axis to be by hundreds. All right. Now, I need now it says graph the data. Okay, let's graph the data. So I got point 150, 4 220, 6 300, 7 320, 10 500. Now, is this a linear function?
No.
Is it continuous?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless he's teleporting, right? Okay. So this is the first thing it's asking for. We go with that. I just graphed x, y coordinates, right? This is hours is x, miles is y. We go with that? Yeah. Okay. Next, show the rates of change. So why is there not just one rate of change here? Yeah, it's not linear. So I need to look at each interval. So what I like to do here is I get organized. I'm going to do 1 to 4 hours. I'm going to do a 4 to 6 hours. I'm going to do a 6 to 7 hours. I'm going to do 7 to 10 hours. What's another word for the rate of change? Slope. Now, it kind of could be a constant of proportionality. It's similar. Slope, the constant of proportionality is a slope, but not all slopes are constant. Or they're not all proportional, I should say. So we're going to be looking for a rate of change or slope in these intervals. The reason it uses the word rate of change is because it's changing at each interval. We would use slope if it was constant the whole time, kind of. So from 1 to 4, I know that he goes, 170 miles in 3 hours. So what is that, 56 and 2/3 miles per hour. So there's my first interval, 1 to 4. From 4 to 6, he goes 80 miles in 2 hours, which would be 40 miles per hour. From 6 to 7, he goes 20 miles in 1 hour for 20 miles per hour. And from 7 to 10, he goes 180 miles in 3 hours for 60 miles per hour. That's it. Now, I could ask you another question like, which interval was the fastest? Which one was the slowest? Okay, which one was the second fastest? Okay, so like I could ask you to interpret that too, but really, everything I did, very reachable. Where kids mess up on this is instead of saying, taking that wide approach, what is it asking? How do I get there? They try to memorize what to do. And you're going to mess up memorizing what to do, all right? It's actually like I'm reading a book right now, statistically proven that if you take a math test based on memorization, something like you'll use the algorithm correctly like 26% of the time. Those that approach it with a problem-solving approach, saying, what do I know, how can I use tools in my toolbox, do much better, okay? All right, so we got this guy, Brandon. I like to call him Brandon. And so here's what we got. We have 495 per game. What does that look like in context of a line?
Slope.
Yep, so I like to get organized. The slope is 495. 5 games, paid $32. What is that information? That's a point. So if I got a point in the slope, point slope form, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. There's my equation. If I've got a point in a slope, guys, point slope form, slap me in the face. Okay? Now, we need to solve it, find the shoe rental. What would the shoe rental be in the context of a line? The y-intercept. The fixed fee that you'd start with, right? So, I've got this, I need to get the y-intercept. What form do I want to get this to be then? Slope intercept. So, I'm going to distribute my 495. So 495 times 5, 2475. Would add 32 to both sides to isolate my y. And I get $7.25. So my solution is those shoes cost $7.25 to rent. All right?
I need a different.
Okay. The best thing for intercepts is to understand that wherever it crosses the x, y has to equal 0, and whenever it crosses the y, x has to equal 0. So if I'm looking here, my x, this one goes through the origin, right? So there's no x or y intercept on A. That goes through the origin. For B, my x intercepts 1, my y intercepts -1. Is that what it's asking for? No. And I'm just getting that, Chase, by substituting in 0 for x and then substituting 0 for y. This one, x is -1 and y is 1. So when x is 0, -y equals -1?
That's the one I had down. But
Yeah, which means y. So you're substituting. The only thing you know for sure is on this line that y equals 0, and the only thing you know for sure is on this line x equals 0.
Because I knew that it wasn't the other ones, but I wasn't sure if it was C. So that's why I wasn't sure about it.
Well, and on
Like, I
D,
had C
x is
down.
1 and y is 1
Yeah.
for the intercept. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, for 17, I've got a point and a slope, Chase. So what form should I be using?
Why was I supposed to use?
No, that's what I need to get to.
Oh, my bad.
This is my goal.
Slope intercept.
I've got a point and a slope. Point slope form. So y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. That's my vessel to get my information I have into a line. Then from here, I'm going to solve for y so that it's in slope intercept form. So that's my answer. Does that match any, I hope? Yep. Matches A. So another thing you can do is you should take your point and make sure your point works in your function. So if I plug in -9 for y and -4 for x, my equation should be true. So half of -4 is -2. -2 minus 7 is -9. It's true, right? We understand that, right? I've said it a bunch, but it's kind of a big connection. In this line, x and y is any ordered pair on the line. That's why we need two variables, because there's infinite answers. All right, so let's get the information that we can out of here. I've got 800 square feet. Is 975. What is that in context of a line?
A point.
That's an ordered pair point. So 800, 975. And then down here I got 1,100 square feet is 1,125. What is that? Another point.
You did that. You did like shut up.
Okay, so
1,125.
So I got square feet money. Now, if I want to, the only thing I can get from 2 points is slope. So when I get the slope of these two things, I got one.
Yeah, there's 1,100.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad. Which gives me a slope of 1/2. So what does that mean in context? That's the price per square foot. 50 cents per square foot, right? So my equation, I've got a point and I've got a slope. I'm going to use point slope form. Because it doesn't tell me that I have to put it in a specific form. Point slope form is a form, right? So I'm just going to use it. Now the next question is, how much is it going to cost for 15 hundo? So the square feet, is that x or y?
That is X.
So if I know the x, I can find the y. Check this out. I'm going to put 1,500 in for x. And if I solve for y, that's how much that's going to cost. Yeah.
I think I did slope intercept form again.
You can do slope intercept
Just
form from
because
here.
then I could switch out y with.
Okay. So there's more than one way to do this one too, because you could get slope intercept form and then substitute in your 1,500 too. So 1,500 minus 800 is 700. Divide that by 2, I got 350. Add my 975 to both sides.
Oh, so you just put 1,500 or 1,500 in.
I think it's 350.
I did 1,500 minus 800. Divided it by 2.
Oh.
Yeah, I got two.
So I got $1,325. That's pretty cheap, man. I think, maybe, I don't know. I haven't rented an office lately. This one is one that gets missed some years, and it's way simpler than it looks. It's again, you gotta take that approach. What information do I know? So a linear function has the same y-intercept of this, and it has this point. So I'm gonna rewrite that. I know I need that point. If it has the same y-intercept as this, I need to find the y-intercept. And the y-intercept of that happens when?
Y equals 0. I mean, x equals
When x equals 0. When x equals 0, that means that y has to equal 4. Which actually, there's a couple ways about this. They just want the y-intercept and the slope. Well, if it has the same y-intercept, guess what?
0, 4.
I've got it. And that is point 0, 4. How can I get the slope from that?
Wait, what?
You can subtract 4 minus 6 and 0 minus 1.
Yep. So I get -2 over -5. So a slope of 2/5. There's another way you could go about this, though. Once you get this, you have a slope. You have 2 points. You could get slope of 2/5 and then find the y-intercept. I don't know why you would, because you already know the y-intercept. But a lot of kids try putting that into an equation. You don't have to. So the slope is 2/5 and the y-intercept's 4. If you wanted to, you could write it as this. That would be the line that these two things make, but it's not even asking for that.